Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we're taking a look at Thunderbolts, with an asterisk. Thunderbolts, asterisk, is the latest film in the MCU and tells the story of a group of misfit anti-heroes put together against each other, where they now have to team up and figure out not, and fight back against whoever did this, meanwhile going within themselves to figure themselves out. So, Thunderbolts. This is something that like a lot of people are not mentioning. This is the last film of Phase 5, I believe. I think is Ironheart in Phase 6 or is that Phase 5? I think that's probably Phase 5. That's probably why, because yeah, Thunderbolts was. So Thunderbolts was announced like a while ago. I forgot what like Comic Con it was. It was the same Comic Con that now like announced like King Dynasty, Secret Wars, Brave New World. Uh, a lot of things were announced that are also coming out this year. Oops, I did not mean to do that. So initially, when like the lineup was revealed and the movie, it's like, oh, cool, another Marvel movie, something different. Taskmaster, Ghost. Yeah, okay. I didn't care too much about it, and then a trailer popped up. I thought it looked cool. It was still kind of that uncertainty of how to feel about Marvel products. But as we were nearing the release of this movie, like a lot more trailers, a lot more behind the scenes stuff, a lot of things started really piquing my interest when it came to the actual quality of the movie. And uh this is the first time in like I want to say since probably like Guardians of the Galaxy where I was genuinely extremely hyped, excited. No, Deadpool and Wolverine, which was like 2 movies ago, but I was really excited for a movie in the MCU because Thunderbolts had the chance to be like another mediocre Marvel project. You know how they all are now. You know, Marvel's Brave New World, Ant-Man, like a lot of bad, mediocre, whatever. This had the chance to be that. However, however, the movie this is good. It's good. Um, it's such a breath of fresh air from just a lot of the MCU stinkers recently. Like even Daredevil Born Again, which I liked a lot. I mean, now that I'm like 2 seasons into the show and like 3 episodes into Defenders, which God, that's slowing the whole thing down. Um, I mean, Born Again is definitely a giant downgrade from that. But Born Again, I liked to like an extent, but yeah. So the biggest part of this movie was its cast. The dynamic between our group is fun. It's well written. It's kind of a lot of people are saying that this is sort of like the MCU Suicide Squad. In concept, it technically is a bunch of misfit villains, anti-heroes, whatever, are put up against each other to work together to do a mission. However, that suicide part does kind of go a bit into like more of a metaphorical thing. Um, but yeah, I can see that. I can it definitely those similarities are very similar. And the dynamics between everyone in this movie is what makes this movie so enjoyable. Yelena is our main character, the sister of Black Widow. She's now Black Widow, which is weird to think actually. It's weird to think that it's just strange to think that she's the official Black Widow in the MCU. And it serves as a Black Widow sequel, sort of. I mean, 3 of the characters are from Black Widow. And speaking of which, the movie kind of redeems like a lot of like because a lot of the characters from this movie are from projects in the MCU that just weren't really good. Black Widow was mediocre, kind of falling on bad. I've said it before. I didn't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It helps that John Walker was like one of my favorite parts of that show. Ant-Man and the Wasp was not good either.
So the movie kind of redeems these characters in a weird sense because, I mean, those characters aren't really the reason why those movies weren't good. Because again, I just said I liked U.S. Agent John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked him. Um, so like seeing him here, he gets a good arc. He gets a good arc. Um, um, I just really liked all of them in this movie. Yelena's grief and trauma and depression and just like trying to find meaning in her life is a focus point, and in fact the overall main theme of the movie is dealing with like trying to find purpose. These guys were weapons now discarded, and now they're trying to find use in their lives. And yeah, it's Red Guardian. Um, he's kind of like our comedic relief character, but it works. He is funny. If that dog don't shut up, he is a funny character, and he got a lot of laughs from my theater, which consisted of like me and my parents, one kid, and just one row of people. It was not an eventful theater. Um, Ghost gets a few cool moments as well. I like that they use her powers a lot more. I mean, she's the only one of this team that actually like have powers, which God, I wish she would stop peeking. I gotta fix that. Like it goes into red quite often. Um, Ghost gets a few cool moments, even though I do have some of my complaints with her. Not complaints, but just kind of notices. But Taskmaster, man, Taskmaster really stole the show. Wow, what an MP. What the fuck? Why does he keep doing that? Quit it. Ah, I'm probably gonna fucking edit this so it's not like doing it. Taskmaster in the Taskmaster in this movie was a really focal. We'll talk about that shit in spoilers. um, I want you to guess. I want you to get. But again, I really enjoyed all the dynamics between the team and visually too. Visually speaking, with recent Marvel movies, they have suffered quite a lot. Red Hulk CGI wasn't as bad as I was worrying it would be. Daredevil Born Again did have some iffy CGI, kind of with the swinging around of Daredevil, which I will take because it's Daredevil swinging around, something that he doesn't really do in the Netflix show. Um, but yeah, recently, CGI for stuff hasn't really been good. It's all been green screen. But here, it's on shoot location, and it really adds to the movie a lot. It's this cold, barren, lifeless look, which again plays into the themes of the movie. But at the same time, it plays it into those movies' themes, and I will be right back. Why did I over 8:30? So, as I was saying, the visual style of the movie really plays into the themes of it, and it's this cold, lifeless, barren look that is done intentionally and actually makes the movie look good. Um, Again, the movie's also really funny because of a lot of the banter that comes with the characters kind of just yapping up against each other. John Walker bickers with Ava, Yelena bickers with him, Red Guardian again, great. Um, it just feels so good to talk positively about a Marvel movie, man. To like be talking about a Marvel movie this positive. Phase 5 is by far probably. I'd have to go back and look. I think Phase 4 might be worse, but this is probably the worst phase that we've had. A lot of stinkers. There were a lot of stinkers in this one. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Secret Invasion, Marvels. A lot of bad movies that I just a lot just this whole multiverse saga has just really been a mess so far because one of my main issues, which is a compliment of this movie actually because of how it does it, is Phase 4 set up a lot of things only to not follow up upon them, and instead we have new things setting up new things
that those don't get followed up on. Some of them do, some of them don't. So, like Moon Knight, for example. Moon Knight set up Jake Lockley. He's still technically under Khonshu's control. Where the fuck is he coming back in? Midnight Suns? Season 2 of Moon Knight? His own movie? We don't know. We may never see him again. Or like the post credits of Shang-Chi, that might get resolved. I think they're gonna resolve that in Doomsday, but so far we have like no answer. And like what about the Ten Rings getting set back up or that? And I mean we just Brave New World's post credit scene where it's like they're coming for you. That's probably not gonna go anywhere. That was supposed to be for the Illuminati, which like okay, but yeah, that I just don't feel like that's gonna go anywhere. Or like again, I know a lot of it is just waiting, but the post credits for this movie does actually tie into the overall picture, while also still being pretty standalone. You don't really need to watch those old you don't need to watch Black Widow or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The movie explains who these characters are in a way that like you benefit from knowing who the characters were beforehand, while also knowing while also if you didn't know the character, now you do. That's what this movie does, because it takes characters from bad stuff, puts it in a good movie. But that's not to say the movie is without flaws, though. Very minor, and just more so how I would have done it. One that is genuinely like an issue that like you can think of. There are two characters on this team that I feel like don't get as much attention as the others: Ghost and Taskmaster. Ghost does have her moments and whatnot. Again, she's the only one in the team with like actual superpower. But I feel like she just gets overshadowed by the rest of the team. And just take a guess on Taskmaster. Take a guess what they did with Taskmaster. That's probably the biggest. There's also a costume in this movie that technically revolves around a character that that revolves around a character that you know was in it, but I'll talk about it in spoilers because it's supposed to be like a big reveal. So yeah. Now at 2 hours and 4 minutes, this movie is really perfectly paced. I feel like, which is something that I see like a few people talk about. Oh, the pacing is a bit off. The pacing could get a bit slow, or sometimes could get a bit too fast. No, I feel as if the pacing worked. It took its time with everything, with us getting to know these characters, with us getting to know this dynamic, and kind of slowly building us to it. Do we spend a bit too much time at like that one location at the beginning? Yes, I was surprised at how much it took, but it really like I was surprised at how long we spent at that location. But I mean, they still like told an interesting story there, so I didn't really mind it. And again, nothing felt like too cramped. Everything is given room to breathe and room to like actually like stretch its legs out, and it doesn't feel like we're trying to get from one plot point to another. Let's have these characters sit down and talk about their mental health. Like that's what the movie does, and that's what I really liked about it. It didn't feel too slow. It didn't feel too fast. It felt like a movie, which is another thing that people are saying is that, oh, Marvel made a real movie again. And while I'm conflicted on how I feel about that, I can see where the argument is coming from. And again, the on location shoots and the themes and the actual effort taken to make this. Whereas, like previously with Brave New World, I mean, that movie had like 60 reshoots. Characters added in. One character just refused to stay because oh, we gotta keep the Israel character in here. Just like shoehorning Hulk elements into a Captain America movie, which should have been Sam's story. And yeah, and yeah, the movie again. Let's kind of go more into this. It deals with heavy topics such as depression and trauma, and I think the way that they handle it is great. The character outside of Yelena who gets the most focus here, and the character I haven't talked about yet, is Bob slash the Void slash character you already know of. I loved Bob. It's so easy to sympathize with him and genuinely connecting with the things that he faces and the thoughts that he has. the void being this sort of physical manifestation of that negativity, that dark side, those negative thoughts that he has about himself. The void is, oh well, the void is a metaphor that Yelena used at the beginning of the movie, talking about pushing your feelings down and just letting them sit there, holding it in, just letting it happen. And that's what Bob does. That's what Bob does with his emotions. But because of that, it leads to unhealthy things, which is something that you should never do, is hold your emotions in and let it build up. Which I think, yeah, and there's a scene in this movie where Yelena and Alexei are talking about how she feels alone. And that scene really hit me because it I can see people really connecting with elements of that, especially myself who was sort of struggling with issues like that of my own. It's I think that's why they handled it so well is cuz speaking from someone who has suffered from mental health issues and felt isolated and alone, I think that's where the movie does good. It really focuses on that, and it can it genuinely is sad stuff at times, and I think they handle it well. And again, the family dynamic makes it work. We're all feeling like shit. Um, you know, I I had to kill a lot of people. I was Red Guardian, and I was Captain America, but because I was an asshole and neglected my people, I I'm not anymore. And Ava was tested on and whatnot. And Taskmaster, oh my god, Taskmaster has the most trauma in the MCU. I fucked her up. uh, the movie, the movie is also pretty standalone for the most part. It explains itself. I already said this, but the way that it connects itself at the end of the movie reminds me of old MCU, which is another point that a lot of people are making. Is that this movie reminds them of the old MCU? Which, yeah, this does feel like a Phase Two Winter Soldier scene, especially with that scene on the in the desert in the pathway with the trucks firing at like the Red Guardian car. Um, I did get sort of like that Nick Fury chase scene from Winter Soldier, and this is the tone that I really wish that Brave New World went for, and they sort of just didn't. Thunderbolts is a great return to form for the MCU, feeling like an actual attempt to make something good rather than just putting out another MCU movie for the month where we have unfinished CGI fights and reshot shit. And okay, unfinished CGI shit, that's another kind of thing, is that when the movie does use CGI, it can get a little bit iffy, but I didn't really care too much. It's a surprise that Thunderbolts, of all things, is one of the best Marvel movies in recent years. So the movie gets a B asterisk, and that asterisk changes it to it gets an A. Yeah. So now let's get into spoilers. Does this work now? No, it doesn't. Let's get into spoilers for the movie now. First off, Taskmaster. I saw it coming. You saw it coming. We all knew it was gonna happen. But so fucking early in the movie. Dude, it literally happens as soon as she's introduced. And it's genuinely hilarious that, like, oh, she's in all, like, a lot of the marketing. She's in the Wheaties box poster. She's in the, it's like, she's in so much of the shit. But it was just so obvious why, like, she was gonna get killed. First of all, a lot of the, like, trailers and stuff, a lot of the scenes didn't have her. They tried photoshopping her in some scenes, which clearly wasn't the case here. But also, like, Avengers Doomsday, like, revealed that everyone was coming back except for Olga, um, who I don't even think was in this movie. When Taskmaster opens her mask, it shows her face, but it looked awful. It was like awful CGI, deep fake. I was like, I don't think she returned back for this one. It's literally the scene she is introduced in. That's her only scene in the movie. She gets shot in the head from Ghost, and you would think that she would be like she would make it through the film at least, or like get killed by Sentry, right? No. While it's funny and very predictable, it's also my genuine issue with the movie because I think Taskmaster could have really worked in a story like this. Look, they messed up Taskmaster in the MCU. We all know it. Black Widow's portrayal of Taskmaster really sucked, but I mean, Ghost was not the best either. And again, a lot of the characters in this movie were from bad Marvel projects, except Bucky. I forgot to mention Bucky because I just feel like I didn't need to mention him. So you could you could give her more to do. Well, in the end, I think Tony Masters, who is actually Taskmaster, would be the better option. And that's my theory as to why they killed her off, is because, like, yeah, we messed up. Let's fix that. Bam. All right, Tony, come in. You're Taskmaster now. If they do so, I hope they make him a wisecracking asshole. Because that's something a lot of adaptations have forgotten about Taskmaster, is that he's not like a Slade character. He is a wisecracker. Um, yeah, Taskmaster is such a cool character with the ability to perfectly copy moves, which she doesn't even do in this movie. Like it felt like she was just fighting. Like it didn't feel like she had a counter for like any of the characters here. Like Ghost, for example. Um, they just instead of like being able to give her the chance and actually like fix her and help her out, they like give her the chance to actually fix her as a character. They just kill her off, man. Whatever. Now the ending battle. It's really great. Bob comes face to face with the Void battling that inner demon within him, and I love the relationship between Bob and Yelena too, where the two of them struggle with their mental health, and there are even some glimpses of suicide, which is why I mentioned that this is kind of a Suicide Squad in a different way. When they're all in the incinerator and they think that Ghost just left them and betrayed them, Yelena just sort of accepts her death. When John Walker is by an elevator shaft and he sees his family, it looks like he's gonna jump, and it's something that you wouldn't really expect the MCU to cover. Those are some pretty dark topics for the MCU to cover, but I'm glad they did. Those are things that I feel like should be able to be covered. Now, another thing I wouldn't say that I disliked, but felt as if it was a bit undercut, was Sentry. Now, so Lewis Pullman plays Sentry in this movie, but it was supposed to be Stephen Yeun, and they call him Invincible multiple times, much as how they say, oh, his name's Bob multiple times. It's clear that they had Stephen in mind when writing it. Oh, Sentry is invincible. He's invincible. He's unstoppable. He's invincible. Yeah. The Pullman's great, by the way. I think Pullman does a great job. But I feel like Sentry, like the Sentry, sort of came and went. The main focus is Bob, but more importantly, the main antagonist, the main villain of the story is the Void. And the Void as a villain is great. Sentry, I don't know how to feel about this look for Sentry either. The lines, I mean, oh my god, you've heard it a million times. Why do we need these lines and these lines here? Because it's a genuine issue. It really ruined the costume and made it look really fucking ugly. Especially since the fabric that they used. I noticed that in the movie, it's not even like this bulky material. It's like actual fabric. Dude, just go with like normal colors and whatnot. That would have looked pretty good, especially with the fabric that you used. He doesn't need like armor padding or like segments or whatever. No, like the guy is bulletproof. The CGI was iffy, but the scene was cool. The scene where Sentry was fighting them was cool. It shows off how big of a threat he is. I hope we get to see more of Sentry in Doomsday, which we'll get into here soon because we know Lewis Pullman's gonna return in Doomsday. But like, is he gonna be Sentry? Is he gonna be the Void? Or is he just gonna be Bob? Hi, Doom. I'm Bob. Real quick, before we get to like the ending and post credits and all that, there's this moment where Red Guardian saves a little girl, tell her she's gonna be safe, and then just gets like literally Hiroshimaed right under the ground. I was like, oh, like the theater, which again was really small, like burst out laughing at it because like no one she came back, she was fine. um and before we get to Dooms,
the entirety of New York was literally just covered in void. And this was like right after an anti-vigilante task force was put into place, which will shoot you if you just wear a mask. Like they literally shot a kid just stealing something from the store and then said, "Yeah, vigilante." Like, like they. What does Fisk have to say about this? The void. It was a great tragedy. It was reminded me of Vanessa. So, my anti-vigilante task force will have to be more. When I was a boy. I gotta get back to Defenders so I can get back to Daredevil. Man, Defenders has been slow so far. Yeah. Yeah, the universe, again, the politics in this universe, man. Like, Red Hulk was just president, and oh wait, no, no. Yeah, I was expecting Fish to actually make a cameo in this movie because of just like the in-universe political stuff of it. They mentioned Red Hulk, like they said, yeah, our last president is a raging red monster and whatnot. I don't know who the new president of the MCU is. I don't think they said that yet. Um, and Congressman Bucky and the sort of impeaching subplot. I thought that in the fact that it just takes place in New York, I thought that like we would like see a quick shot of Fisk like rushing to his office. Is like, what Wesley? Oh, oh, Mr. Wesley, you're a good man, but Vanessa. He's probably just gonna fucking blame Matt for it. Okay, the bread and butter of this ending. What does the asterisk mean? So, if you've been paying attention to this movie, you might notice that the title has had a asterisk on it. It became such a huge part of the marketing that, like, there were posters, even a popcorn bucket for it. So, yeah, the Thunderbolts is the temporary title of this team, named after Yelena's soccer team. Not Thunderbolt Ross, who I thought the team would be named after, who, by the way, again, gets mentioned early on. Um, yeah, the asterisk means New Avengers. These guys are the new Avengers, which was a bit surprising. I thought it would be like Dark Avengers or something, but it was. I really liked how they handled this whole title reveal because we knew. I kind of figured that they would do like a title card with the new title at the end. They didn't do like a title card at the beginning of it. Um, the credits show the reaction to the team, and yeah, this isn't the permanent team. It's 100% going to change because a lot of people in the universe are like against the idea that, oh, these guys are our new Avengers, not my Avengers. And I feel like this team will either merge or get replaced or kind of just disintegrate with the team that Sam leads. So in the end credits, there's a mid credits where they play up that Wheaties box thing that's kind of also become a part of the material, like the Wheaties box poster that was outside the theater and the actual Wheaties box. But in the post credits, it's revealed that Sam doesn't like this. He does not like the new Avengers, and I do wish they saved the conversation between Bucky and Sam there so we could see that on screen because I mean last time we saw these guys on screen they were on good terms and Bucky was giving him advice but now they're at odds against each other even though Bucky like they're at odds against each other even though like they were all fine and I wish that they kind of went into that into like I wish we just saw that conversation on screen like maybe like extend the post end credits to have that be there more. It's an interesting conflict that Sam is against the new Avengers even incorporating it. He's building his own team, which, if I had to guess, Captain America, Falcon, Shuri, Ant-Man, and Baku, Shang-Chi, Thor, Hulk, She-Hulk, and whatever was just like Hawkeye, yeah, just whatever was like left over from the last team. And it's a much interesting conflict that gives you a clear idea on the state of things in the MCU going into Doomsday, which we actually finally have some setup and lead up to now, you know? So Yelena mentions that she had a cosmic space threat. Like there was something in space. We should go check. We should probably check that out. Like show me it. They look on the monitor. It's a ship. Fantastic Four. Like, we knew they were coming. They even played the trailer before. Oh, so um, this was kind of spoiled by the movie itself. If you paid attention during the credits, usually by the time the music part comes on, that's like, okay, yeah, we're very close to like actually seeing the credits here. And I was just like looking at it, and I was like, Fantastic Four theme. So yeah, that kind of did spoil it, but hey, man, it's so cool that we have a movie with post credits that are actually leading into the next movie. That's what I missed. And oh my god, I'm just so excited for the Fantastic Four. Still no setup for Doom yet. I don't I think this post credits was shot by the people doing Avengers Doomsday. Um so yeah, I kind of wanted them. I think they're probably gonna keep Doom hidden until like they want to reveal him. But Fantastic Four most likely will tease him at the end of their movie. Now the thing here is that this sort of does the thing, clobber in time. The thing here is that this sort of spoils a bit of the ending with Fantastic Four, which we kind of knew it was going to happen. Um, the theory is that they leave their universe. They leave their universe because remember, this team isn't in the MCU. Well, now they are, but now they're not. It's a different universe. So we know they're escaping their universe. Galactus probably either ends up eating it, or maybe they're coming to stop Doom. Who knows? But man, I'm so excited for Fantastic Four. And 2025 is just looking bright for superhero movies as a whole. Superman, Fantastic Four, hell, if I'd say that I have hope for Ironheart and Wonder Man, but not too much. Seems like we we're close to getting back on track for the MCU. Hopefully, after the multiverse saga is up, which was I definitely say was like the dark years of the MCU, that we get back on task. Until next time, I'm Red Guardian.